Hello, fellow creators, and welcome back to Create Craft Costume. My name is Ashley, and it is the middle of summer. We are in 100-degree heat where I am, and nothing says July like fireworks. And nothing says fireworks in the Harry Potter universe like the famous Weasley twins, and that is where I took my inspiration for these sets of signs. If you would like to see how I complete these, please keep watching. Let's talk about some of the supplies that we're going to need for this Weasleys Wizard Wheezes July-inspired sign. I actually took inspiration from 2 pins, meaning enamel pins, and they are by Nimbus Design. So the first thing that you are going to need is the different W's. So what I did is I got 2 different sizes because I wanted the one in the middle to be the largest and stand out the most. So I actually went onto Etsy and I had a wood shop help me with these custom engravings. I will leave a list of the inches as well as the shop that helped me in the description down below. If you're not making 2 different sets, you're only going to need 1 large and 2 small to complete a set for yourself. The next part of this was getting the background for the W's and the hats to sit on. Again, this was also on Etsy, but these were not custom. So I went and got this star, and I also got this triangle. So this is going to be the middle, and this is going to be the outside portions. Now, these were more expensive, so I'm actually going to do the 2 outside portions a little bit different. One is just going to have the star, and I will attach the ribbon to the back, but one is actually going to be on one of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to trace this on paper, and I will glue the paper to the back like this. Once you have all of your components together, the next part of that is finding the scrapbook paper that you're going to want to use. I went to 2 different stores, and I did try and get this paper at Michael's. I really did. The problem is at the time, Michael's did not have any glittery orange paper. So I ended up getting all of my paper from Hobby Lobby, and it was on sale for half off. And by the way, Hobby Lobby also had the best purple selection, and I got 3 different colors. I got the glitter orange, the glitter kind of fuchsia purple, and then what I call the Grinch green, because now it's about tracing and Mod Podging. So for example, as from the inspiration, I want half of the triangle to be purple and half of the triangle to be orange. So I turned the purple paper over and I traced out the colors that I would need. I will end up Mod Podging these on like this. Simple enough. Well, now I need to do that for all of the heartburst shapes as well as the W. So far, this is what I have. I knew I wanted green on this back piece, and then for the next one, I wanted purple on that back piece. So that's why I cut out 2 of these. There'll be a green one and a purple one, and then this will be in the center of it. Now I had to get the W's going. And there is something that I want to remind you as far as tracing. Most of these, it doesn't matter which way the shape sits. Okay, you can reverse these. However, with the W, it does. In the Weasley Wizards logo, this star is facing this way. So you want the traced image to be able to face this way. If you don't trace the image correctly, you get this, where it's a perfectly fine star, but it is not facing the way that I want it to. So once I realized that, because I hadn't traced something that the direction was important for a while, just remember I had to go back and erase some, and remember the way you put it down is how it is going to be here. So I traced it this way, which means the star is going to be on this side. So what I needed to come back and do is I'm going to lay the W down this way, and I will trace it out on this side. So that's really my only tip with tracing, is make sure you know which direction it's going to be when you are finished. And then other than that, it's a lot of trace and cut out. You're going to trace and cut out. But if you traced it correctly, it will wind up looking like this. Now, something else that I want to mention about these particular shapes is I designed them to make sure that they were not larger than 12 by 12. I wanted to be able to use 12 by 12 paper and not have to add to the expense of getting even larger paper. So every shape here that you see will fit on a 12 by 12 paper, sometimes multiple times, as you can see. I wanted to mention one more thing about tracing. You may be wondering, okay, well, yeah, I'm tracing and I'm cutting out, but how many of each color do I need? Now, part of that is up to you. I have the pictures of those pins on my phone that I am looking at for inspiration throughout this video. So that is something that I am constantly referring to. The colors of your items are going to determine how many colors you need to cut out. So for example, I know I want all 3 colors on the W's. Well, that means that I have to place the green background. I have to place this under the purple W, okay? Because I don't want a purple background with a purple W. So that means the purple and the orange is going to go over here. Remember, the diamond has the 2 in the middle. So you have to determine how many of each that you're going to cut out based on what you want your final product to look like. One more suggestion before we start gluing all of our cutouts on. As I mentioned, one piece is just going to be this pointed star. It's just going to be this 8-pointed star. One, however, is going to be paper placed on this sign. And as I was messing around last night, I actually really like the look of combining these. So that would be really hard to do on just this because these will have no support. So that means these will bend. But I think I am going to do a combination of stars on the circle and just see how I can make it pop. But you have to determine how many you're going to cut out of each. You'll see in my final how many pieces I cut out if you want to copy mine exactly. You'll want to let these glue first and dry, but I just want to start marking my lines so that while these are drying, I can be working on these fireworks. Now, these arrows did also come from the Dollar Tree Crafter Square, and these are going to act as our fireworks that are on that second pin. But what we're going to want to do is determine where we want the fireworks to be. And as you can see, they are slightly too long. I also don't want this lip here. I don't want this to be 3D. I want these to lay flat with each other, specifically because I'm putting a W on top of this. So I want these to lay flat. However, my original plan was I was going to trace these lines and then cut the wood. Well, well done, Dollar Tree. This is a lot thicker than I originally anticipated, and I was getting a lot of fragments and frays, particularly on this one, because this one's actually even thicker than this one is, or at least this one came apart a bit easier. So since I don't want to do this for like 7 cuts, I am only taking off the back end of this, and that's what this will look like. And then what I decided to do instead, I traced this large one onto cardboard. I can do the exact same steps, but I can make this lay flat, and I'm not worried about the splinters or not having the tools to be able to fix this. So I'm going to flip this on its back, and I'm going to draw a line. But now I can come in with scissors and I can break this piece up and make it lie flat like I wanted to. So this is the piece that I want left out. So I can throw this piece away. And this was the piece that was too long, so I can throw this away too. So once I have these ready, it will look something like this. And obviously this is not centered. This is not how it's going to look in the final, but I will cover this with colored paper, and then I will put the W, which will be the correct W, and I will put that right on top. Now, this next step is optional, and I wasn't going to do it until I started layering these. And as you can see, particularly on the W's, there is a lot of dark coloration there, and it's not what I want. If that doesn't matter to you, if you don't care, by all means, you don't have to do this next step, but I am actually going to paint the sides of my items that I want to have a full coloration. So I'll paint the orange, the green, and the purple, and I will do that before I start Mod Podging these down. And I think it will just give the item a bit more dimension and a finished look to it. And as I'm sure you can tell, this wood is actually soaking up the paint a lot. So I'm probably gonna have to come in with a few more coats. But again, that's just the finish that I want. I don't want a bunch of dark layers peeking in between. Here's what the W looks like green. And I won't lie, this did take about 4 to 5 coats, but I think this makes it look so much more professional and high end, because when you put this on, once this is Mod Podged, it looks like part of a piece. You don't get that black showing that we had last time, and I just think it'll make this pop and just make it look more finished overall. So now I'm going to do the purple, and then I'm going to do the orange. Here's what everything looks like painted. Full disclosure, that magic snap meant nothing for this orange. The orange is definitely having a lot harder time covering, so I'm gonna have to do a lot more coats on this one. So I just made sure that this dried a ton, and then I'm gonna go over with some more coats. But before I do that, once everything is painted, we can actually Mod Podge and let these dry. So everything that's cut out, you're now gonna place on top of their designated shapes. So like this, and like this. And then I'm just gonna Mod Podge over this. So then I'm gonna turn it on the back and place something heavy on top of it to make sure that it dries evenly. And once this has dried overnight, we'll be ready to put the finishing components together and glue all of our signs. Now, the reason I don't have these Mod Podged and drying yet is specifically because I'm still choosing the color scheme. Remember, on the original pin, it only had this green background, but since this circle is so large, I really do like the extra pop of color here. However, also on that original pin, you do see the use of the color blue. But if I keep using the glitter paper, it's just too much. So I am going to keep to a similar color scheme, but I'm now using regular cardstock. So the only additional color that I'm adding is this blue, but then any additional bodywork or colors that I add to the firework body, I'm just gonna be using these plain cardstock colors that coordinate and match with the glitter paper. So I'm gonna use these as my template. I'm following the pattern of that pin. I'll probably paint the side of this one full color instead of going for the stripes, but that means I will paint these. Now that I have the W's drying, I'm going to work on the base of this sign. And I am going to take off the sticker. So as you can see, this sticker is not coming off very well. And if I was going to use the entire background by itself, I would probably take out a heat gun to help release the glue. But since the only parts that are going to be showing are the edge, I'm actually just going to paint the edge and not worry about the sticker portion. I'm going to take this folk art navy blue and start painting the edges. Now, as I said, I'm not going to paint the entire circle because most of this will be covered up, but I just want to make sure that I don't have any of the cardboard color peeking out between those star shapes. Once the signs are set aside and drying, we have two more main components to work on. So one is the arrows or the firecrackers that are going to go on both. And the other one happens to be the top hats that are going to go on that middle diamond portion. I forgot to mention these two, and these were not a custom piece. These were also just ordered off of Etsy in whatever size. Now, these papers are not glued on. As I said, I decided to use the regular cardstock instead of any specialty, and I'm still using that pin as inspiration. So I went through and I traced every piece that I need to. But as with last time, you can see that stuff is poking out. And I really don't like that, particularly the cardboard. So I am gonna go through and paint the edges of the arrows and the edges of the top hats, just like I did with the other shapes. Now that our hat is done drying, the paper is now on, we have one last detail that I would like to add. I just want an orange ribbon going across here. And I'm not even gonna make it wrap around the back. You could, but I'm not going to, because once you cut this, you can make sure that these edges don't fray by singeing them. That seals the end of them right there. So again, that sealed the end. And then I can come and glue this right here and not have to worry about the edges fraying or it making any type of lip in the back. So I'm actually just gonna glue this with a couple dabs of hot glue, and then our pieces are ready. Once all the pieces are painted and traced and assembled, the last part is just gluing everything together into one piece. So you want to make sure that your colors are coordinated, and you're going to want to make sure that everything is in alignment where you want it to be, because remember, this is going to actually be the top, and I'm going to glue this down just as it is. And for our finishing touch, we will have the Weasley W right on top. The other side sign will coordinate and look just like this. So I'm going to glue these off camera, and then we will do the middle showstopper. So we're gonna take our hat and our large green W, and I'm gonna make sure that the alignment is about halfway through, so that I'm gonna glue here and glue here, and I'm going to add a twine hanger on the back of this one. And finally, our Weasley Wizard Wheezes July fireworks signs are officially complete. I think Fred and George would approve if I do say so myself. These are definitely the brightest and boldest of the sign collections that we've made so far, but I do have plans for future holidays. If you would like to continue to see those plans and be updated on when they happen, please, please, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Fred and George would, so I expect you to as well. Thanks everyone. I will see you in my next video.